I had gotten up that morning because I had an appointment. It was on a Friday. In fact, it was October 20th of 2006. I heard a car door shut, so I went outside to see, who was in my driveway. Two ladies jumped out of a white unmarked car screaming and yelling at me. So I quickly ran back to my door, and before I could get inside my home, the one woman shoved her way through, making me hit my entertainment center. Yeah. It was a very violent act.
This was the beginning of
my horror story and my nightmare.
Your relationship with Child Protective Services.
Yes.
That's the way you got introduced to them?
Oh, yes. And when I asked the ladies, who are you? What are you doing here? They refused to give me information on who they were. They did not identify themselves. They just yelled and screamed and started going through my house, asking me, well, what's this box? What's that box? And I tried telling them, hey, my daughter's in the process of moving out. Who are you? And after a while, they did finally tell me who they were, but it took, quite a few times of me asking. Well, that day, I was supposed to have my attorney, and she was a little bit late. And when I met her outside, the kids' father had already met his attorney, which they really didn't know what to do with the kids' father. They didn't know where to place him or anything into the case. And I went outside, and this lady come up, and I said, are you my attorney? And she said, yes. And we introduced ourselves, and I told her flat out, these are my kids. Are you going to fight for me, or do I find another attorney? And she said, I'm going to fight for you. Let's go.
Wow.
We walked into that courtroom and, listened to everybody's sides, and she presented her, case for me as much as she could at that time, because it was within just a few hours.
Yeah, she didn't really know you.
Right.
Yeah. So, okay, now you took some unusual steps to start getting your kids back here.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it started with Lutheran services. They came into my home demanding me to sign this, sign that, do this, do that. Okay, you want to play it this way? I can do this. I told the one guy, I said, I'm not signing nothing unless my attorney reads it over first.
Good for you.
And he says, well, you'll either sign it or, and he threatened me with something. I can't remember exactly what it was he threatened me with. And I said, go ahead and threaten me. What else can you do to me? I said, you've already pretty much destroyed me. I said, and I'm not signing it unless she reads it first. Okay, that was let go. Well, they put all these demands on me. Budgeting, high school diploma. Yeah, now where does a high school diploma come into raising children? Beats me.
Me too. I think there's a lot of people out there that might be a little surprised.
Oh yeah. And then it was parenting classes, and it was this class, and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. And just to see where they would go with it, I said, well, can you get me the information on where these classes would be held? Oh yeah, we'll get them to you within a week. Well, they never contacted me back with any of the information, but I'd already knew where to get the parenting classes and other stuff done. I just was testing them like they do us.
So you went and signed up for the parenting classes yourself?
Yes. In fact, I signed up for 5 different parenting classes through the whole time.
You wanted those kids back, didn't you?
Yes.
Good for you.
And I signed up for a budgeting class, which I knew where to get that. I also signed up for a nutrition class. It's where a lady comes in, gives you a cookbook, you guys cook and have fun, which that was not mandatory through them. I signed up for just other classes.
So you went through a whole series of classes.
Yes.
Now, during this time, were you able to visit with your children occasionally?
Yes. They tried to make it to where I visited with my children for 1 day a week for 1 hour, and I argued the point with my attorney, and I said, I want every day. These kids need me, and they have not been without me, so I want every day. We finally came to an agreement of every other day for 2.5 hours. And on weekends, it was longer.
Good for you. Now you had some people that listened to you a little bit.
Yes.
I know some people just won't let them see, caseworkers that won't let them see their parents.
Right.
So, okay, then the caseworker would come to your house, and did they check up on you?
Oh yeah, I had a visit about every 3 days in my home. Well, and what I got thinking was, they can have us sign their forms. Why can't I do that with them, so that way I have it in writing with their signature to where they can't lie in court of what was done.
Did you think they might lie?
Oh yes.
You knew they did, really, didn't you?
Yes, because the first court date that we had, actual court date after that first day, they stood up there and they lied. I mean, they said things that were just off the wall. Where they came from, I don't know, but they weren't true. So when the caseworkers would come into my home, I would have them sign this form and fill out all this information, what we talked about, the case number, the kids' names, their name, what agency, the date, just everything. I did the same thing with my classes. I had it all down packed in the...
So you documented everything?
Everything, right down to when I went to the hospital when my daughter had her tonsils out. I even had the doctor sign that.
Good for you. So, did you put a note on your door?
Oh yes, I put the note right on my door.
What did it say?
Before you enter these premises, be aware that you will either be videotaped, audio taped, and you will also have to sign my forms.
Good
and I
for
signed
you.
it.
They couldn't show up in court lying, could they?
Nope, and I even took a picture of that sign and put it in the records.
Wow. So, how did you finally get your children back then?
A very long fight and a battle.
10 months?
Yep, 10 months. I even started a petition, and that's, with people that had known me, people that had worked with me, worked with their dad, their friends, their families. I had over, I'm going to say about 500 signatures on that petition requesting my children to be returned, that CPS had lied.
That's amazing, 500.
Yes, and I had it within the 2 weeks, so it could be turned into the judge.
Wow, you were a busy mama, taking all those classes and seeing your kids and getting those petitions signed.
Yes.
Wow.
I fought.
You really did. But not only that, you fought, but you had some really good common sense, because you didn't just get angry and scream and holler. You figured out a way to document the whole thing.
Yes.
So you have proof positive. They couldn't go to court and say, oh, I was there on February 12th, and they never signed a paper, so you knew, the judge would know they weren't there.
Right.
Well, that's really good.
Yep.
That's excellent. Is there, so what happened? Did the judge tell you the kids were going to come home?
Well, at first the judge kind of gave us a hassle, rough time. But in the end, on that 10th month, I said my prayer before I went into that courtroom. And
your kids were praying?
Yep. And the judge said to the social workers, I've had enough. These parents have went above and beyond what you've even asked them to do. They've done things on their own that I am going to put in account for, to go good toward them. And the kids are going home today. I order the kids to be released to their parents and this case to be closed.